Hi guys, welcome back. So let's continue with project settings. And JIRA offers you a lot of options to configure and customize your project. So most of those settings are covered under project settings. Now in the first page where you have the details, you can basically update some of the details about your project. So you can assign a category, then you can assign a particular role, but this is very basic. If you go to access, then you will have option to update and add users. So right now it's a free plan, but if you have a paid plan, then you can add people with their roles. So for example, by default, this is setting everything to administrator right now, but we will be able to add multiple roles like developers, business analysts, product owners, and so on. Then the main important thing here is the issue type. So when you create a project in JIRA, JIRA by default will give you these issue types. So epic, bug, story, task. These are your issue types. So first thing is ability to customize these individual options. Now if you go to this epic, this is the default template here, what you see here in this portion. And you have few additional fields which you can add here based on your requirement. And now technically you can put everything in description, right? But it is not recommended. Basically, when you are running your reports and when your project has grown up, you will need some ability to quickly filter out things. So let's say you have a prototype. Now, prototyping can be done using multiple softwares like Figma and some of the Adobe's tool also. And there are many other options in the market. So these are external applications. Now, in that case, you will have a URL from those applications which you can add here. So instead of copying and pasting that URL in the description, where it will be very difficult for you to put a filter on something like that, it's better to add a short text. So I can call it prototype. Again, in the description, if you want to, you can put any information. And if we leave it here, then whenever you go to create a new epic, you will have this additional field there. So similarly, let's say if you are adding a specific field for cities or anything where you think a drop down would be useful, gender, any Boolean values, you can use drop down or checkbox. If your epic need to add some information about the people, you can also add people here. So let's call it people. So these options essentially provide you ability to customize your template. You can customize it to suit your project. And it's a very good option and you should always use it because most projects will have some additional requirements, some additional elements which will be better suited for something like this where you will need specific fields for them. And you will always have these projects where you have some additional information like some database information or prototype information, some city, location, gender, something like that, which is part of your epic or user stories. So you can always edit your template, add those fields so that 6 months down the lane or 12 months from here, if you have, let's say, 200 user stories, and if you want to quickly select those user stories where you have a prototype information or applicable to a specific list of cities, you can quickly do that using these options here. And you have this option to customize everything. So you can add all these things as part of your bug, your story, task, subtask. And subtask is kind of unique to JIRA. There are not many tools which offer the subtask. So when you create a task, let's say that task is further broken down into 2 or 3 subtasks, you can easily create subtask using this option. So this particular option here to customize your issue type is very good. It can add really lot of great value to your project. And if you are a new Scrum Master or a product owner, I will highly recommend you using these options. If you want, let's say we have only epic, bug, story, task, but if you want to create something for, let's say, features. So we can call it features. So we will have this option here. Now if I go here, you can see that we have option to create feature also. And if you want, you can use this option also here to configure fields. So let's create a random epic. This is a dummy epic. Create it. So now if we go back to that epic, you will be able to see these fields which you have added here. Okay, so it seems we forgot to save changes last time. So let's add this prototype field here and save it this time. Now, if you simply click on your work, it will simply open all the work which is currently assigned to you. So now if I open this, you will see that we have this field for prototype. So always make sure you use them. It's a very good option. So let's go back to project settings. So make sure to add these things, modify these things based on your requirement, and then you can quickly create whatever you need. Okay. So going back to project settings, notification is simply all the alerts which you or anybody will receive based on the settings here. So if you see, when an issue is created, by default it is sending to all watchers, current assignee and reporters. If you want, you can edit these settings. So you can also add current user, project lead. So basically, let's say you create a story or a bug or a task, then emails will be sent to those individuals, and if they log in, then they will get an alert here. Okay. And when you create user story, which I will show you in some time, you will have options to tag them. So there will be an option watch. So if you select that option, you will be considered as watchers. So you will also get email notification for those things. Features simply means all the features which are available with our project. So right now we have roadmap, backlog, and these options here. We will need reports, so let's enable it. But we don't need release and versioning, deployments, and these things for now. So let's keep them disabled. But if you want, you can enable these things from here. Apps is simply that sometimes you may need additional information, additional apps. So JIRA provide you a marketplace from where you can download and buy these apps. So based on your requirement, you may additionally purchase these tools, and you can go through the categories here. So that will help you. There's another option of project automation. So for example, if you are a scrum master, then you will have to manually close a sprint after all the issues and everything is done. Now you can automate that process here. So instead of manually going after each sprint, reviewing everything, you can simply automate that workflow here. And as we are talking about workflow, I just want to show you one more thing in this issue types, which I missed earlier. You can also edit the workflow here. So if you see, by default, this is the workflow. Now, if you want, let's say within to do, you want to add few more status like ready to elaborate, elaboration complete, elaboration in progress. You can do all those things here. So if I do here and type ready to elaborate, it will give me that option to add here. So now if I do, so I can do like this. Let's say you also want to track unit testing, so we can also add in progress. So in progress essentially means when the development has started. So let's say we are saying that when a project, if it is in progress status, it means coding is going on, and then unit testing, and then we can call it done. So if I save it, now whenever we need to create something, so let's go to this user story here. Now, right now, if you look at the status, is to do. If I want to change the status, I can change accordingly here. So you can see that when your project is going on, it's better to break down your statuses in more steps, because that will provide you better clarity, that will help you with better control. So especially for a Scrum Master, it is very important. If you are just saying that a user story is in to-do status, it is essentially indicating that development has not started. But we don't know whether that user story has been groomed or not, whether it is pending for some other information, some clarification, product owners have added all the required information there or not. So you may want to add these additional steps there, which could add values. Let's say again, you have 200 user stories, you are running a report. If you have 100 user stories in elaboration status, then you know that these user stories are not ready for development. Only after elaboration has been done, developers can pick them for coding. And only after unit testing has been done, we are going to mark user stories as done, because that is a very good way of enforcing standard practices. So now practically we know that there will be a status call where you can get clarification on the unit testing. You can ask developers to capture the screenshots and other evidences, but it's always better to put the exact process here, put the exact workflow here. So these things are really good and they can add really great value to your workflow. So top navigation here is essentially your global settings. So if I click on create, I can use this to create epics or any other items or issues in any project I currently own. So right now I have two projects, which is PM1 and PM. So it is showing both of these options here. So I can quickly create epics or issues using these options. Similarly, I can use or rather create dashboards or rather and then navigate to those dashboards. People, app, everything. So all these top menu items are essentially your global options. We will talk more about menu options which are specific to issue type like epic or any other issue type or work item in JIRA when we create more user stories and epics and put them in a sprint. We will continue to work in JIRA. We will also cover Confluence here, where we will talk about product requirements, roadmap, or any other document you may need to create for product management. And by the end of this course, by the end of this section, you'll really have great clarity on how we can use Confluence and JIRA for product management and software development and how we can put these things together. So that's it for now. Thank you.